The median age for the average home buyer in the US is now 40 years old, 10 years older than our parents' generation. And yet, San Diego has just landed as one of the top places for young professionals to move into, even in this brutal housing market. So is it the jobs? Is it the culture? Is it the food? We gotta look into why young professionals are actually flocking to the San Diego area. So why are young professionals moving here or staying here in San Diego? And I have a couple of ideas, and I know that some of these ideas are going to be ruffling up some feathers. So let's talk about those. So let's start with a more controversial topic. Number one is things are so unaffordable to live anywhere around the US that if these young professionals were to choose anywhere, they would rather choose America's finest city like San Diego. According to a February 2026 study from the National Association of Home Builders, 75% of households were unable to afford a median-priced new home in 2025. And San Diego has the fourth highest percentage of renters versus homeowners in the entire nation. As of 2024, 48% of San Diego Metro are renters, and general homeowner anxiety hit an all-time high with Gen Z and millennials. And to put another nail in the coffin, according to the National Association of Realtors, or NAR, the current median age of first-time homebuyers is 40 years old, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, and that's likely because you need 2 incomes and an established career in order to own a home these days. Whew, I gotta take a break. It is pretty hot and not a cloud in sight, but we'll talk about weather later. But I would anticipate that about 50% of all the renters in these studies are actually not even accounted for, because some of these renters are just living with their parents, probably to save as much money as they can and make things as affordable as possible, because it's not just house prices that are being an issue, but it's also just the overall living expense. So I would anticipate that a lot of these potential homeowners or wannabe homeowners are actually living with their parents. So as I mentioned in a previous video, about a third of young adults are actually living with their parents right now. And I guess that's not super surprising because it's just unaffordable wherever you are in the nation. But why do people choose San Diego versus any other nation to live in and I guess bear the weight of the unaffordability of the housing market? And I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about that. So contrary to popular belief, San Diego's economy isn't just tourism and beaches anymore. The city has evolved into a hub for biotech and defense and healthcare and the growing tech sector. Companies like Qualcomm or Illumina and UCSD fuel high-paying opportunities. But let's start with the general stats. In 2024, there were 1.6 million regional jobs, with almost 68% of them being local. And 13% of jobs were tourism-based, and almost 10% worked within the government sector. And while I was looking through the San Diego EDC website, I found some really cool charts that shed some light on employment within the different industries. Okay, maybe I should just stay in one spot because it's way too hot. So with the San Diego EDC website, granted, make sure that you know that it is 2024 data and things might have changed since then, but I would likely bet that the stats are still pretty similar. So let's dive in real quick. So these charts show the growth of jobs within different industries. The ones that have seen a steady increase are healthcare, government, social assistance, and transportation and utilities. And check out that huge bump in jobs within the government sector in 2022. If you know why that's the case, let's hear it in the comments. And the rest of the sectors have took a hit or maintained stagnant in the past several quarters or even years. So keep an eye out for how this plays out, especially with AI disruption in almost all of these sectors. So for those who are starting their career, it's nice to know that a lot of these employers are staying in San Diego or coming to the San Diego area, thus increasing the job growth in different specific industries, and make sure you just keep that in mind. With over 32% of workers now hybrid or remote, location decisions are prioritizing a quality of life rather than office proximity. According to Ali Wolf, chief economist for New Home Source, today's consumers are asking themselves for what really matters. For some, home size remains a priority, but for an increasing number of buyers, the focus has shifted to the quality of the finished product. And it sounds like this finished product is not literally the physical product, but the general feel of the home and neighborhood. So Wolf continues, what we are ultimately seeing is that quality, location, and areas for socializing are proving to be more valuable to the modern consumer than sheer square footage. And recently I started following this one Instagram page called Live Near Friends, and they post some truly interesting things. Like, for example, what is it like to live next to friends? How can you afford that lifestyle in a high cost of living area like California? And there's also a carousel post stating, building a custom compound in California is now easier than most people realize. Like, how can you not click on that? But the one statistic that I found the most intriguing is based on the 2023 study of almost 13,000 people. And those with high friendship scores in a 2023 study had a 24% reduced risk of all-cause mortality, basically death for any reason. And I can anticipate that the living near friends concept lowers your blood pressure, which means you're less likely to die from cardiovascular disease, you have less depression, less anxiety, you get the picture. So why am I bringing up all this? Well, remote work allows you to live close to friends, and many of my own friends that I grew up with live in San Diego. And maybe that's the case for you. Maybe you had to move away for work or for college, but now you have the freedom to see those friends again. And quite frankly, I've taken advantage of the whole remote work situation, and I spent 2024 in a van, traveling everywhere west of the Mississippi and also Virginia and Tennessee, so I guess east of the Mississippi as well. I mean, from national parks to beaches, I've closed deals back in Colorado, even when I was 1,000 miles away. But now that I'm making the full move to San Diego, I miss the banter. I miss the energy of the office where I'm surrounded by top agents in my area. So that in-person contact, whether it's through business or personal life, I want that back and I crave it, honestly. Which ironically ties back to remote work situation, and I guess it depends on who you're asking and where you want those social ties to be, at least physically versus digitally, but I'll leave that up to you. I like to be in San Diego in general for this reason as well. The weather. And it's time to beat a dead horse here. San Diego weather is awesome. And after living in Denver for 6 years, I went to go visit San Diego in April, and I am currently here right now. I packed jackets, a beanie, tank tops, button-ups, everything for the volatile weather that I was expecting, or at least was so used to back in Denver. And it turns out I only used the tank tops and button-ups. The extra layers just stayed in my suitcase. I pulled out my weather app, and I only downloaded it when I moved to Denver, and it said, during my stay, the high was 70 and the low was 62. I mean, during my whole 2-week stay. So talk about less than 10 degrees of volatility with the weather temperatures. That's crazy. And with about 10 to 12 inches of rain annually, temperatures rarely dropping below 50 degrees or exceeding 85 degrees, and the ocean hits some nice temperatures as well. I mean, knowing all this, I was naive in thinking, yeah, I can handle winter in Denver. The snow will be tough, but I could get used to it, right? How bad can it be? And yeah, the winters got really bad some years. I mean, I remember one time, I think it was like February of 2023, we had 2 feet of snow in 36 hours, forcing me to snow shovel twice before it got worse again. And genuinely, that was the time I regretted moving to Denver. Hands were frozen, my back was hurting, and more snow was piling on as soon as I shoveled it. It was annoying to say the least. Now granted, for those of you that live in the East Coast, that is nothing and probably a daily occurrence, but I mean, I guess growing up in San Diego, that was just not on my expectation list when I moved to Denver. So if that resonates with you, then San Diego might be the move because, you know, like I mentioned, the weather here is awesome. So why bring this up for the youngins out there? Well, when I was getting my footing in my career, I wanted to be out with friends. I wanted to be partying and going to the beach and things like that. And having sub 40-degree weather put a damper on my spirits or discourage people from going out. And you gotta enjoy where you live, and quality of life is taking a high priority for me, at least these days. And the last thing I wanna bring up, at least for the youngins out, young professionals that are trying to move to San Diego or why they're moving to San Diego, it's the culture. I grew up in Mira Mesa, a primarily Filipino and Vietnamese neighborhood here in San Diego, and pandesal and long silog are breakfast favorites. Family parties had the staples like tocino, pancit, lumpia, all that good stuff. And believe it or not, I even have some Filipino blood in me. The point is, cultural diversity has been such a driving force in the San Diego communities, and it's not just the Filipino influence. As of 2024, 25% of San Diego's residents, approximately 348,000 people, were born outside of the United States. Approximately 30% of those born outside of the US just identify as Hispanic here in San Diego, and 17.2% identify as Asian. So what does that all mean? Why is noting the demographics of the city at all important for young professionals? Well, honestly, San Diego has some of the best food spots in the world, and it's a direct result of this diversity of culture. It doesn't have to mean Michelin-rated restaurants, but good, approachable eats that fit a reasonable budget. And young professionals like to explore, stretch out past their comfort zones, and be introduced to new cuisines and cultures. There are festivals and celebrations of different ethnicities bringing everyone together. I mean, they're not gatekeeping this stuff. You just need to go to the right areas, and San Diego is one of those destinations. Stagnant growth and the limiting of mixing cultures makes things stale and doesn't drive innovations or creative solutions to local problems. And lastly, growing up in a more culturally diverse area serves me a nice slice of humble pie. And it makes me realize that I'm not the main character of this world that we live in. So there you have it, from the housing math forcing people to rent smart instead of buy stressed, to the jobs that aren't going anywhere, to remote work letting people move closer to their friends, weather that doesn't require a coat, and a food and culture scene that never gets old. San Diego is stacking up wins for young professionals. And those wins include all those things, not just like, yeah, it's pretty here. No, it's like a plethora of other things, obviously. And even if one of these things hits home for you, I'd love to hear which one in the comments. And if you're thinking about making the jump yourself, that's literally what I'm here for. Let's talk. All my contact information is down below in the description, and I want to be there for you if you're even deciding on renting, or if you're new to the area, or just visiting and wonder what to check out next. So thank you so much for watching all the way through, and I'll see you guys next time.